What if your greatest chapter hasn't even been written yet? You've climbed before, you've won some battles, maybe even reached the summit once or twice, but now it's quiet, too quiet. You feel it inside. There's more to give, more to live, a deeper purpose calling you into a new arena. This is the second climb, and this time, you're not climbing to prove, you're climbing to dominate. Let's begin. Step 1, the power of reinvention. Reinvention is not about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering the version of yourself that's been buried under years of patterns, expectations, and limitations. It's peeling back the layers of what life, society, or even your past choices have told you that you are, and choosing boldly to redefine that narrative. Most people live as if their identity is fixed, like it was assigned to them and can never be upgraded. But the truth is, you are not a finished product. You are a dynamic force. Reinvention is your birthright. Think about it. How often do we stay stuck in a role, a job, a relationship, or a mindset simply because it's familiar? Familiarity feels safe, but it can also be a trap. It tricks us into thinking that change is dangerous when in fact stagnation is the real threat. Reinvention demands that you challenge your own comfort. It asks you to trade certainty for growth, predictability for potential, and that's not easy. It takes guts to look in the mirror and say, this isn't who I want to be anymore. I'm ready for more. But here's the beautiful part. It doesn't matter how old you are, what mistakes you've made, or how long you've been living in the same story. Reinvention starts with a decision, a single powerful choice to upgrade your standards, your mindset, your habits, your identity. Not because the old you is broken, but because the new you is ready to break through. Reinvention doesn't erase your past, it reframes it. Every setback becomes fuel. Every failure becomes wisdom. Every moment of doubt becomes a stepping stone to clarity. You begin to realize that nothing you've experienced was wasted. It was all preparation. Every chapter you've lived through was sharpening you for the next one. Reinvention is not about running from who you were. It's about stepping fully into who you're meant to become. And when you commit to that path, when you stop asking for permission and start giving yourself the authority to evolve, you stop living reactively. You stop being a character in someone else's story, and you become the author of your own. Reinvention is the highest form of self-respect. It's the moment you declare, I am more than my history. I am the architect of my destiny. Step 2, from plateau to peak. There comes a point in every journey when the progress slows, the momentum fades, and things begin to feel flat. That's the plateau. It's not failure, and it's not rock bottom. It's a strange middle ground. A quiet, deceptive place where things aren't bad, but they're not great either. You're no longer in survival mode, but you're not challenged. That's where many people get stuck. They confuse comfort with success. They start to believe that because they've reached good enough, they should stop striving for great. But the plateau is not the destination, it's the crossroads. It's the place where the old tools stop working and the familiar strategies lose their edge. It's the moment your growth demands a new level of thinking. Because what got you to this point, those habits, those beliefs, those routines, they were enough for the first climb. But now you're facing a new mountain. And it requires a different version of you. You can't conquer the next peak using the same mindset that brought you here. You've got to evolve. The problem with a plateau is that it's seductive. It lulls you into a false sense of security. You start making excuses. I've already accomplished a lot, or I'm too busy to focus on what's next. But deep down, you know You feel it, that quiet dissatisfaction, that sense that something more is possible, even if you can't quite name it. That's not restlessness, it's your potential calling you forward. It's the whisper of the next peak. And make no mistake, reaching the peak doesn't happen by accident. It requires awareness, intention, and relentless hunger. You have to disrupt your patterns. You have to question what you've accepted as your limits. You have to stop playing at the level you're comfortable with and start preparing for the level that challenges you. The transition from plateau to peak is not about grinding harder. It's about getting smarter, clearer, bolder. It's about raising your standards. Again, growth is not linear. It happens in spikes, in surges, in breakthroughs. And often those breakthroughs are preceded by long stretches of stillness or frustration. That's the nature of the plateau. It's not punishment, it's preparation. It's life asking you, are you willing to go further, or are you going to settle here? Most people settle. They retreat into comfort. They justify staying small. But the few, the driven, the obsessed, the hungry, they use the plateau as a launching pad. They see it as a challenge to innovate, to stretch, to become something more. Step 3, letting go to level up. Leveling up isn't just about doing more, it's about becoming more. And to become more, you have to be willing to release what no longer serves you. That's where most people get stuck. They want the growth, the breakthrough, the next level, but they don't want to let go of the old version of themselves. They try to carry yesterday's identity into tomorrow's opportunity. And it doesn't work. The very things that brought them success, comfort, or safety in the past now become the weight that holds them back. Letting go is not weakness. It's not loss. It's strength. It's a deliberate act of courage. It means being honest enough with yourself to admit that some beliefs, habits, and relationships are no longer aligned with where you're going. Maybe it's the belief that you're not enough. Maybe it's the fear of judgment. Maybe it's the need to be liked, the addiction to approval, or the habit of procrastination. Whatever it is, you can't take it with you. You've got to drop the baggage before you climb. And it's not always obvious. Sometimes what you need to let go of looks like success. It's the job that pays well but slowly drains your soul. It's the relationship that's stable but keeps you small. It's the routine that feels safe but stifles your potential. Letting go is rarely convenient. It usually feels uncomfortable. It forces you to confront uncertainty, to sit with the unknown, to rebuild from a deeper place of truth. That's why people avoid it. They'd rather stay in what's familiar than face what's unfamiliar, even if the unfamiliar holds their breakthrough. There's a reason the best transformations come from shedding. Think of nature. Trees drop their leaves to survive winter and prepare for new growth. Snakes shed their skin to make room for expansion. And you're no different. Your next level requires a new frequency, a new mindset, a new emotional standard. You can't elevate while clinging to the same thoughts that kept you average. You can't step into abundance while hoarding scarcity. And you definitely can't lead with power while being tied to old wounds, guilt, or shame. Letting go is a decision to trust the process more than the past. It's an act of self-respect, saying, I deserve more, and I refuse to let yesterday define the boundaries of today. It's about recognizing that your past pain, mistakes, and even your past victories do not define your potential. They inform you, they teach you, but they don't limit you unless you let them. Growth means constantly checking in and asking, what am I holding on to that I've outgrown? What stories am I still telling myself that were written by fear? What identities have I clung to because they were comfortable, not because they were true? The moment you let go, you create space for clarity, for alignment, for something greater to take root. You're no longer operating from survival mode. You're no longer chasing validation. You're no longer stuck reacting to the past. you become intentional, powerful. And from that place, real growth begins. Step 4, purpose-driven action. There's a massive difference between movement and progress. So many people are busy, grinding, hustling, checking boxes, chasing goals, but they're not fulfilled, or running fast but going in circles. That's what happens when action isn't tied to purpose. It becomes noise instead of direction. Purpose-driven action, on the other hand, is the force that's successful from the significant. It's not just about what you do, it's about why you do it. When your actions are fueled by purpose, every step has weight, every move has meaning, every challenge becomes part of the mission. Purpose is your internal compass. It's the deep why behind your goals, the fire that keeps burning when motivation dies out. Without it, even success can feel hollow. You reach the goal, and instead of joy, you feel emptiness, because the destination means nothing if the journey wasn't aligned. Purpose-driven action isn't about chasing external trophies. It's about becoming someone who's guided from within. It's about building something that matters not just to the world, but to your soul. But here's the truth. Purpose doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. It shows up in subtle moments. When you help someone and feel alive, when you speak your truth and feel lighter, when you do something hard and realize you've grown, that's purpose knocking. And once you answer, your entire approach to life shifts. You stop asking, what do I have to do? And start asking, what am I called to do? That's when action becomes unstoppable, because now it's driven by meaning, not pressure. And when your actions are anchored in purpose, you stop needing constant validation. You're not waiting for applause or chasing approval. You're not jumping from goal to goal, hoping the next one will finally fix you. You already know who you are, what you stand for, and why you're moving. And that clarity creates power. It creates alignment. You start saying no to the wrong things faster, and yes to the right things with more certainty. You stop wasting energy on distractions and start directing it toward your mission. You become more focused, more resilient, more intentional, because now you're not just working hard, you're working aligned. Purpose-driven action is also what gives you stamina when life throws punches. It's what helps you get back up when things fall apart. When your actions are purpose-led, setbacks don't break you, they build you. Pain becomes part of the process, not the end of the road. Obstacles become teachers. Resistance becomes fuel. Because now you're not just chasing a goal, you're honoring your calling. And that creates a level of commitment, passion, and grit that no external motivation could ever match. It's not about being busy, it's about being directed. Purpose-driven action means you wake up with intention. You make choices based on values, not convenience. You don't let circumstances decide your effort. You let your vision guide your discipline. You understand that greatness isn't found in the intensity of a single moment, but in the consistency of meaningful action, day after day. And when you live like that, when you move like that, every part of your life begins to align. You attract better opportunities, build deeper relationships, and experience a level of fulfillment that hustle alone could never deliver. Step 5, relentless discipline and emotional mastery. Discipline and emotional mastery are not optional. They're the foundation of a high-performing life. Without them, talent gets wasted, potential stays dormant, and dreams dissolve under pressure. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. And emotional mastery, that's the engine behind that consistency. It's your ability to lead yourself internally, to not get hijacked by fear, doubt, anger, or distraction. Because make no mistake, your emotions will either drive you or derail you. The choice is yours. Relentless discipline starts with the smallest of habits. It's the early wake up when no one's watching. It's the hard conversation you'd rather avoid. It's the workout, the reading, the reps, the rituals, the actions that seem invisible in the moment but compound into something massive over time. Most people wait for motivation. They wait to feel good. But the elite, the obsessed, they move regardless. They've trained themselves to follow through even when the energy isn't there, even when the path feels uncertain, even when the results are delayed. That's the essence of relentless discipline. It doesn't ask how you feel, it asks what's required. But even with discipline, without emotional mastery, you're building on shaky ground, because life will hit. It will test you. People will doubt you, plans will fail, and things won't go your way. And in those moments, your emotional response becomes everything. Will you spiral into self-pity? Will you lash out, shut down, or give up? Or will you take control of your state? Emotional mastery means you don't let your temporary feelings destroy your permanent goals. It means you can feel fear and still take action. You can feel exhausted and still lead. You can feel triggered and still choose power over reaction. This level of self-control doesn't come from pretending emotions don't exist. It comes from becoming aware of them, understanding them, and learning how to shift them. You train your mind to focus on what's in your control. You ask better questions. You change your language, you move your body, shift your energy, and take ownership of your internal world. Because if you can't lead yourself, you'll never lead others. If you can't control your focus will control you. And in a world filled with chaos and noise, the one who stays centered is the one who stays powerful. Relentless discipline and emotional mastery work together. They feed off each other. Discipline strengthens your trust in yourself. Every time you follow through on a promise, you build your identity as someone who gets things done. And that identity fuels your emotions. You start feeling proud, confident, grounded. On the flip side, emotional mastery gives your discipline purpose. You're not just grinding for the sake of it. You're clear on your mission. You're emotionally aligned with your actions. That internal alignment creates an external force that's nearly unstoppable. It's easy to be disciplined when everything's going right. It's easy to stay calm when life is smooth. But who are you when it's hard? Who are you when the pressure's on, when the noise gets loud, when nothing is going as planned? That's where discipline becomes your superpower. That's where emotional mastery becomes your edge. When others fold, you stay focused. When others panic, you breathe deeper. When others need outside motivation, you generate it from within because you've trained for this, you've prepared for this, you've built the kind of mindset that can't be shaken by temporary storms. Step 6, legacy thinking. Legacy thinking is about living from a future perspective. It's shifting your focus from short-term wins to long-term impact. Most people live for the now, what feels good today, what brings comfort, validation, or success in the moment. But legacy thinkers play a different game. They ask deeper questions. What will I leave behind? What ripple will my life create long after I'm gone? They understand that life isn't just about accumulation, it's about contribution. It's not just about what you build, but who you become in the process and how that version of you impacts others. This kind of thinking demands that you elevate your decisions. You no longer act based on convenience or popularity, you act based on principle. You start choosing growth over ease, integrity over approval, and impact over applause. You measure success not by how much you've taken, but by how much you've given. You stop chasing a legacy of possessions and start creating a legacy of purpose. Because the truth is, people may forget what you did, but they won't forget how you made them feel, what you stood for, and the way you showed up when it mattered. Legacy thinking also forces you to confront your habits. Every choice becomes part of your story. Every action is a brick in the foundation of your future. Are you building a legacy of discipline or distraction, courage or comfort, love or ego. The legacy isn't built in one big moment. It's built in the small, repeated actions that compound over time. How you lead when no one's watching. How you speak when it's easier to stay silent. How you serve when there's nothing to gain. That's legacy in motion. It also demands vision. You can't build a legacy if you're constantly reacting to life. You have to design it. You need a mission that's bigger than your mood, a purpose that outlives your problems. Legacy thinkers aren't ruled by circumstance. They're guided by conviction. They don't let fear shrink their dreams. They think generationally. They act in ways that make life better, not just for themselves, but for their families, their communities, and even people they may never meet. Their life becomes a message, one that echoes beyond their time here. Legacy thinking also redefines what you tolerate. You stop settling for mediocrity because you know your example sets the tone for everyone around you. You raise your standards not out of pride, but out of responsibility. You become someone others can count on, someone who builds, uplifts, and leads by example. And in doing so, you start living a life that demands respect, not because you chase it, but because you embody it. Legacy isn't about having your name remembered. It's about living in a way that your impact speaks louder than your presence ever could. It's a higher game, a longer game, one that trades instant gratification for enduring greatness. When you think legacy, you stop being reactive, you start becoming intentional. You wake up every day with the weight and the privilege of shaping something that matters, something that lasts, something that outlives trends, titles, and timelines. You realize that everything you touch, your work, your words, your energy, leaves a mark, whether you like it or not. So you get clear, you get focused. You lead not just for today, but for the generations that will be influenced by your example. So here you are standing at the edge of your second climb, not the beginning, not the end, but a new summit calling your name. You've been through the fire. You've battled the doubt. You've tasted success, and you felt the sting of stagnation, and now something deeper inside you knows it's time. It's time to reclaim your hunger. It's time to let go of what no longer serves. It's time to rise with purpose, lead with discipline, and move like your legacy depends on it, because it does. You're not here to repeat the past. You're here to dominate your next chapter with clarity, with conviction, with a fire that no setback can extinguish. This isn't about hype. It's about decision. This isn't about motivation, it's about mission. And this climb, this next level, it's not for the crowd, it's for the committed. So take the first step with boldness, burn the old blueprint, build something unshakable. Because the world doesn't need another person settling, it needs you fully alive, fully engaged, and fully relentless. The second climb is here. Now you rise.